Welcome back, sports gamers. It's The Natural here with President and Lead Designer of Axis Football, Danny Jugan, here to talk about Axis Football 18. It's coming out on consoles, and we're happy to have you here. He's going to answer all the questions that you guys sent out and questions that we have about Axis Football 18.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
There's a huge positive reception that you guys had with 17, and what kind of motivation did that give you going into 18?
Well, to be honest, it means everything. The game did well sales-wise, but we certainly aren't here for the money, and the guys on the team make practically nothing. And so we live for the positive feedback that we get. That means so much to us. It's the fuel that keeps us going. And so to hear that positive reception from the little bit that we've shown and carrying over from the 2017 version, that gives us all the motivation to continue to put out a good product and improve every way we can.
Can you speak to some of the improvements and additions in Axis Football 18?
Sure. So the community is awesome, and they supplied us with no short list of ways that we can improve the game. And there's tons of different directions that we could have gone. But at the end of the day, we felt like the two areas that not only needed the most improvement, but also were the areas that the community really wanted in a football game were in franchise mode and improving the gameplay. And so that's the areas that we focused on this year. In gameplay, you're going to see way deeper playbooks, and we can talk about the specifics of that later. You're going to see better player movements and interactions between players. And on the franchise side of things, we went way deeper, providing a lot of the things that were missing in 2017 to give you that complete football experience.
And one of the things people love so much when you start talking about franchise is the ability to have create customizations of stadiums, of players. People love customization. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of custom things that'll be in the console version?
Sure. So the 2017 version had a lot of customization features, and that's one of the reasons that we started out on the PC platform on Steam, because it's so much easier to mod on PC. And when we're talking about coming over to consoles, that brings a lot of challenges there, because naturally you don't have the file access that you do on a PC that you do on a console. So it makes modding challenging, but we still wanted to provide as much as we could there. So what we're going to do, and some of this information, we may change it as we learn more things, but for certain we will at least be providing the uniform editor and the player editor, which are in-game interfaces where users can change uniforms, change player names, attributes, all that sort of stuff, player appearances. So there's going to be the option to change that sort of stuff in the game. Now, as far as adding logos, sharing stuff, you make changes, you want to share it with your friend, that's the kind of stuff we're still trying to figure out as we look at how files are actually saved and stored on consoles.
Yeah, that's a major one. I mean, because someone makes some awesome uniform or stadium or edits their player, they want to be able to share that with the community and their friends. So hopefully you guys get that in. Last year it was stated that Axis 17 was kind of on par with games like a last gen Madden title, and even though you're not direct competitors, you're still in the same space as far as football video games. Where do you kind of feel Axis 18 will land as far as in comparison to Madden or past titles of current generation?
Well, it's kind of funny, when the original Axis came out on Steam, we got compared to PlayStation, and then when the second one came out, then we got PlayStation 2, and so it seems like each time we release a version, we hop up a console generation, so, which is good. We're making progress, and so I think it's important for fans to realize what they're getting with this game. It is not Madden. Madden does a great job presenting their game, making it look beautiful, and we are not there. If you look at Axis 2017, the still shots, the screenshots of those games matched up pretty well with the AAA titles, but the game in motion was nowhere near it. The players moved kind of clunky, they didn't interact that well, and that's where the old console generation comments came into play. We've improved that a lot this year, and again, it's not Madden in terms of graphic quality and that sort of thing. But it looks a lot more like actual football players playing football on a field.
People don't realize that Access Football actually started from a Flash top-down, like kind of 2D version now all the way to a fully featured console release. So the jumps of improvement each year has been there. So in that development, what's the biggest challenge you find in developing a football game going through that whole iteration that you guys have been through?
The most difficult thing is that you can't take shortcuts when it comes to producing quality football. And what I mean by that is I've developed several other games, whether they're adventure games or puzzle games, that sort of thing. And in those type of games, you can afford to take creative liberties with what happens in the game and play it off as, oh, it's a feature of the game or it's a rule of the world or whatever. And you can't do that in simulation style sports because there's an expectation that everybody has that this is how actual people play football. And the challenging part is to get the game AI and the players on the field to do what an actual human would do. And even when you look at, Madden, who's been doing it for all these years, and look at the struggles that their game still has with AI and making the appropriate decision in such complex environments, that's where the challenge comes into play. And so that's one of the areas where we continually strive to match the real world counterpart for what we see.
And a lot of times people, I think they really don't understand just how difficult it is developing a football title compared to other games. A lot of times they'll compare it to basketball, which has less players on the, which makes a big difference in rendering, AI, and all that, or compare it to a UFC game, which again only 2 players. So football having 22 people on the field and all having their own AI. Can you talk a little about the difficulty of that versus a typical video game and the biggest challenge of why you see so few football games being developed out there compared to other titles?
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. The fact that you've got 22 players all trying to do intelligent things with so many moving parts, it's almost a recipe for disaster. And it's any wonder that anybody can make a football game where the players are running around half intelligent. There are so many different things that can happen and so many different variations that can happen on the fly, and you look at all of the different permutations for events that can happen, or okay, if this player moves here, then I would step here, or if I think he's going to move here, then I'm going to preemptively move here. And there's just so many different things that creating the AI for that is, for lack of a better word, really challenging. But we are making strides, and we are certainly not there yet, but the game is coming along.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the biggest jumps you can see in quality from year to year from Access has been commentary. You guys improved so much from the first iteration to now. What more improvements can we hope to see in Access 18 in the commentary?
Well, we've continued to expand the commentary to match some of the features that we've added. So, for example, one of the big things that we've added in 2018 is penalties. And so the commentary team is going to adjust and add in based off of what's happening on the field with regards to penalties. And same thing with some of the other stuff we've added on the field with play action and that sort of stuff. And so we've made sure that as we've extended our features, that the commentary that fans are used to hearing is consistent throughout their experience. Because it would sound really funny if there's just large gaps in commentary where new features have been added.
Yeah, and play action is one thing that you mentioned, which is an addition to this year's game. With the advancement of RPOs in NFL, can you see that being added into the future, a future title?
Absolutely. You just take a look at the Super Bowl this past year and how big of a key those run-pass options were in the Super Bowl win. And that's something that we debated heavily. It's a good way to talk about it internally when we were trying to decide what kind of new play types that we wanted to add. Because at the end of the day, while we would love to add lots of different play types, we had to pick one, and we went with play action. Adding in option plays, whether it's just a traditional triple option or a run pass option or something like that, those are all things that we want to get in the game. The main reason is that it's football. That's what you see on Sunday afternoon when you're watching football, and so it should be in a football game. And so yes, absolutely, that is something that we are looking at adding very soon.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed part 1 of our interview detailing Access Football 18. If you did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn those notifications on so you don't miss part 2 as we take a look at franchise mode, RPOs, and talk a little bit about the legal and developmental challenges facing IMV Gaming's college football game Gridiron Champions.